So, let's talk about sponsored books. Whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Amazon, what have you, I'm sure we have all seen our fair share of sponsored books. Little ads pop up pretty much everywhere, talking about the new bestseller, some weird indie book no one has ever heard of, and maybe something somewhere along the way that might actually intrigue you. Call me a victim of consumerism, but every time one of these ads pops up on one of my various timelines, I get pretty intrigued, and I kind of wondered to myself, well, what if I do like it? Maybe I should buy it. Maybe this book will be my next 5-star. And you want to know what that is? That's marketing done right. And you want to know what else that is? Very scary. Honestly, I'm kind of terrified of the whole marketing realm because they're getting really good at what they do. And I am a very easily persuaded person, which means my bank account suffers. And why am I talking about sponsored books? You may wonder. Well, if you haven't read the title, which I'm assuming you have, this is because I'm going to spend a week reading only Kindle sponsored books. So let's see how that goes. The basic idea for this is I am going to download the first 3 books that Kindle recommends to me when I open up, you guessed it, my Kindle. If you don't have a Kindle, and yes, take a shot every time you hear me say that word and you will be blackout within the first 5 minutes of this video, most of the time there are 3 kinds of ads that appear. You could get an ad for an Amazon product. That could be literally anything from, I don't know, an Alexa to, I also don't know, something. Normally electronics. I don't know why, but it's normally electronics. Or you could get a paid placement ad. This could be anything from a car, literally, I've gotten way too many car ads, to an ad for Disney+. But it is the last kind of ad that I am most interested in, and this is the Kindle Unlimited book. Even before I had bought Kindle Unlimited to do my Chandler Ainsley video, I had always gotten ads for books that you could get on Kindle Unlimited, and it's safe to say they piqued my interest. I always find myself wondering how these Kindle ads are being targeted. Are they randomized, customized, or just whatever the hell is selling the best at that time? And so, I had this idea. Has someone else done it? Probably. Have I checked? No. If someone has, and I find that they have, I will tag them below. However, I promise this came out of my little brain. I promise, but then again, I do watch a lot of Sophia Nygaard videos, and it's safe to say whenever she buys weird shit, I want to buy weird shit. So, we're doing it. So, let's get into it. I'm going to download the first 3 books that pop up whenever I open up my Kindle. Now, I'm not going to just sit and close my Kindle, open my Kindle, close my Kindle, open my Kindle, because that would be very boring. I am probably going to really randomly just do a check-in, open up my Kindle, and swipe up on whatever it gives me. That way it's a little bit more randomized and I have no idea what's coming up. I feel like it's very important for y'all to know the nail polish is dead-ass cracked off my nail there now. I suffer for these videos. Anyways, the goal for this video is basically one of 2 things. One, I am morbidly interested in ads. Call me the ideal consumer, but I easily get sucked into these things. Do I normally buy them? No. However, they do pique my interest. And 2, it is to see if the books that Kindle actually recommends are good and decent to your average Kindle reader. I love my Kindle. I use it quite a lot. It probably makes up about 1/4 of my reading, and it's safe to say I spent enough time on it for it to, I don't know, maybe understand what I like to read and what I don't like to read. And with all that said and done, my name is Ray, and let's have a nosy at Kindle sponsored books. So, I actually already tried to film this, but it was entirely out of focus, which is great. So you missed me finding the very first book. I'm a bad YouTuber, oh my god. How does Sophia Nygaard do this literally all day every day? I have no idea. But when I first opened up my Kindle, I actually got an ad for Prime Reading. Now, I don't have Prime Reading just because I don't have Amazon Prime. We have a family account, my Kindle is my account, it's a whole thing, but I don't have Prime Reading. However, it did list a couple of books on it. One of the books it listed, which was the first one my eyes automatically gravitated towards, and thus was the one I ended up picking, was A Deal with the Elf King. I don't think I've ever actually heard of this book. I've heard of the name, it sounds kind of familiar, but I have no idea what it's about. It seems to give me Cruel Prince vibes just looking at the cover alone. I will show you the cover here. See what I mean? Cruel Prince vibes. So I have just downloaded it and I think I am going to sit downstairs and start reading it, and I will do a little check-in whenever I have any idea what's going on. As for why this book came up for me, well, maybe it was because of, I think, the 6 books listed for the Prime reading. It wanted to pick a variety. However, if the ad is more customised, this one might have come up because lately I have actually read a lot of new adult books when I was doing my Chandler Ainsley video, and immediately after doing that I started reading a lot of fantasy because I was rereading the Old Kingdom series by Garth Nix. So maybe those two things kind of went together in the Kindle algorithm and they were like, yo, this book though. I don't know. Apparently it's for fans of A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I'm not exactly. Though, not gonna lie, do love Nesta. She was a dope character. Never read the last book, but apparently, I don't know, she does more in it. I don't know. Will I ever read it? Maybe not. That's not the point of this video. Anyways, I downloaded A Deal with the Elf King, and every time I say that title I think it's really funny. So I am gonna maybe go downstairs and read it. The real goal is to go somewhere in my house that isn't so fucking hot. Oh my god, we are in a heat wave. It is literally 25 degrees and I'm sweating like a sinner in church. This is not a good time for me. Anyways, on with my Kindle experiment. Whoa. So, I am about 10% into The Elf King, and let's have a chat, because now I actually kind of know what the novel is about. So I am only going on to the 3rd chapter now, but our main character is called Luella. Lou something is her name, and she is the local healer for her small town that is on an island, and their town of Copton? I keep going to call it Compton, and I'm like, that is not correct. But the town that she lives in borders what is known as the Fade, which is basically the magical doorway between the human world and the Fae world. From her town, every 100 years, there is a human queen that is basically chosen. She is a girl probably around the age of like 20, I think, who is the only human that shows any kind of magic. And she is then swept aside and married off to the Elf King. That's pretty much it. Apparently this is done to keep a treaty of peace between them. The human queen basically dies every 100 years. Evidently these queens have amazing timing skills if they're dying 100 years on the dot. But oh no, there is an issue, my friends. The human queen cannot be found. A replacement is not in existence. Oh shit, the treaty done go fuck them up. Ooh, the elves are gonna kill them. But of course, obviously that's not going to happen. I'm assuming Luella will be the next human queen. I mean, I feel like that's a given. I feel like that's fairly obvious. She is the local healer. She is a herbologist, which we kind of stan. I kind of love that for her. That's kind of iconic. Also, literally, like, bear in mind, I've read 2 chapters. 2 chapters. The first chapter, she's like, this is my best friend Luke. Before the first chapter even ends, he's like, we engaged now. Girl, what? Not even dating. I'm talking straight up engaged. He's talking about silks. He's talking about flowers for the wedding. And she's just like, I kissed you for the first time about 20 minutes ago. What the fuck's going on? And honestly, that's the realest reaction I've seen thus far. Don't know how I'm feeling about it. I would like some more world building, honestly. Everything is very fast. Everything is going very, very fast. And I don't know. I don't know what to really expect. Obviously, she's going to end up being snatched up by this Mr. Elf King and being taken across the field. But I don't really know what'll come after that. I definitely see why people are saying this gives them a Court of Thorns and Roses vibes. Very much the chosen girl is taken by an elfin fairy person. But yeah, I just thought I would give you guys an update on what it seems like this book is about. And yeah, I'm gonna get back to reading it, I think. I might take a break and make food, but I do only genuinely be about 20 pages into it, so there's that. Anyways, back to reading about elves. Midnight update. Well, actually, it's like 5 a.m. Anyways, someone really needs to bonk Luella on the head and send her to horny jail. Okay, thank you. Hi, hello. Sorry if there is any like background noise right now. It is literally 25 degrees in Belfast and I have to have my window open because literally my room is entirely black, so I live in a hot box and I'm sweating. Please ignore the fact you might be able to hear my neighbours. Thanks. I finished the book and I have thoughts? Question mark? So I essentially read A Deal with the Elf King in like one sitting. Technically a lie, I read the first 30 pages one day and then like literally like 2 days later I read the entirety of it. The entirety. And it proved to be an adventure because I ended up reading it all in a kind of one sitting in the middle of the night, as I always do. I didn't really do many check-ins because even though my kid neighbour screams all the time, as we know, I didn't want to wake him up because I said, good person. However, saying that, I did end up sending videos to my friend about my reaction to it, so I will show you that. Don't mind me looking like an egg. Claire! Oh my god, I'm so happy I'm in this house on my own. Oh my god, I just remembered I have a neighbour. Yeah, well, he's kept me from sleeping before, so he can hear me fucking screaming about how Luella needs to be bonked to go to horny jail. Claire, this fucking book. I'm screaming. Right, I'm dead ass near the end and I haven't shagged once. I'm really surprised because it's on Kindle Unlimited and for some reason when I read Kindle Unlimited things I just assume they're all shagging constantly. But oh my god. It took me a page to realise they were shagging. It took me a page. I had to like go back and like reread it because I was like, wait, when did that happen? The entire time I've been reading this, I've been like, someone needs to bonk Luella and send her to fucking horny jail. Jesus Christ. I think the first thing we need to talk about is I kind of really liked this book. Was it a masterpiece? No. Was it surprisingly written very nicely? Yes. When I talk about if something is being written well, normally I'm not talking about like the plot or the actual content, I'm talking about the actual fluidity and the style of the writing itself. I found that I don't know the author's name, I don't know her name. I know her first name's Elise. So my girl Elise has a very nice, funky, fresh writing style that is very, very easy to read and like it gives you the emotions, and I really enjoyed it, and I found it super fast paced, super easy to read, just really chill. This book was not exactly what I thought it would be. Whenever I originally downloaded it and I saw people were like, oh, for fans of ACOTAR, I was like, oh god, fairy porn. No, not really. Which I was like very much vibing with. I mean, there is, but only a little bit, like near the end. So you like got to actually experience like the characters like, you know, emotionally growing together and however, with all of this said, you would think, oh, banging, she gave it like 4 stars, 4.5? No, I give it 3 stars, and let me explain why. So even though I liked the writing style, I really actually quite liked the writing style, and I got rather invested in the story, I was ultimately left disappointed because I wanted so much more. I wanted more world building, I wanted more of the magic system, I wanted more of literally everything. More secondary characters, more time with the secondary characters, more in-depth lore about the past human queens. I wanted so much more, and I didn't get it, which made me sad. And also, by the time I got to the end of the book, since I quite obviously bought it on Kindle, Kindle does this little thing where if you're reading a book that's part of a series, it'll say at the top, it'll be like, A Deal with the Elf King, #1 of Married to Magic. I think that's what it was called. Yeah, that kind of makes me Bookworama, but never mind. So I saw that, and remember, I didn't read the blurb going into this because I said going in blind. I said never read blurbs anyway, so why would I start on a video which is literally just saying if I vibe with the books Kindle recommends me? Why? What I didn't realise was this is actually a standalone because it is written very much in the way where it would have been a really good duology. Everything was kind of like started up, you got a taste of the magic system, you got a taste of the people, you got a taste of everything. And there's like unease like within the whole like fade, you know, the fairy fade, the elf fade, I don't know, apparently there's vampires in this as well, I don't understand, whatever. But it's a standalone, so you don't actually end up hearing anything more about the lore and the lives of the human queens, how the humans are affected by the elves and that whole shebang. And you also don't get to see these two characters, which I'm kind of sad about. I did like Luella, even though she was very protagonist-y, you know what I mean? Very like girl protagonist. And her boy was a broody bastard, but that's hardly a surprise. So I was reading it, not knowing it was a standalone, noticing at the top it said like the first book of this like series, and I was like, banging! I'm gonna get a second book. Fabulous. No. And that's kind of what made me rate it a bit lower. Maybe if I never saw that it was a part of a series and I was aware that it was a standalone, you know, if I had actually read into it, I might have liked it a little more. But then again, maybe I wouldn't have, because maybe I also would have been like, you could have gone more in depth with things. Also, the whole like conclusion and human queen thing that went on, and like I'm not gonna give spoilers, but if you've read it, you know, and if you haven't, just vibe with me for a minute here, thank you. I really expected Luella to turn around and be like, the only solution is for us to have a kid. I was really expecting that. With all their like issues with like humans and like the elves, like not being able to balance their world and like all that vibe, I was like, why don't you have a kid? Since it was clear none of the previous like human queens and elf kings had a kid, I was like, maybe that would like work. But alas, that didn't happen, and that's not a spoiler because it was never even hinted at. That was just me being like, da -da -da -da, creative writing brain. Evidently my creative writing brain didn't do much help. Anyways, that is all of my thoughts on this book. I actually quite liked it. I know that I just said I gave it 3 stars, and I know I said I had my grievances with it, but I did enjoy it. So if you're looking for a little funky, light-hearted fantasy that's really easy to read, I would recommend it. I see why people like it. Also, it was just written so nicely. On to the next book, which I don't know what it is yet, but I will update you whenever I open up my Kindle and see whatever it recommends to me. Okay, so here's the crack. I opened up the Kindle store and had a little scroll, and the first thing that actually came up for me was Kindle Unlimited reads based on your reading history. Amazing! This is exactly what I was looking for when it came to Kindle ads, but alas, I didn't get it as like a swipe up ad. Anyways, whatever. I opened it up, and the first book it actually recommended was the second book in a series, so I just clicked on the first book of the series. It is called Spellbreaker by Charlie N. Holmberg. Quite a name. As always, I have no idea what this is about. It seems to be a fantasy though, so I think Kindle thinks I really like fantasy. Interesting. Since I'm pretty sure the majority of books actually on my Kindle are thrillers, but I do have fantasy there, I won't lie. As I said at the start of this, I was reading the Old Kingdom series prior to starting this video, so I think Kindle has just decided I am a full-fledged fantasy reader. We're not mad at it though, So, I am going to read Spellbreaker, I guess, and I will update you guys. Also, it's a sexy little duology. I love a duology. So, if I like this book, then I will be very, very happy, because I love a duology. I just do. So, I will update you guys when I have any idea what's going on. Woo! So I am about 10% of the way into Spellbreaker, and I'm actually really liking it. So basically the premise of the book thus far seems to be it is set in a world in which there are spellmakers and spellbreakers. Spellbreakers are very, very rare. Spellmakers are also kind of rare. But basically what they are is exactly as they sound. Spellmakers can craft spells and enchant things. There's like 4 disciplines of magic, whereas spellbreakers are actually born as spellbreakers, and they are very rare and they can undo any kind of spell. So very funky fresh, very interesting. What I actually really love about this book is it's set in the 1900s. I love books that are set in like England from like the 1700s to the 1900s. I don't know what it is, but they just simply hit different. I just think they're so good. It's just, I don't know. I was really excited whenever I flipped open this book and I saw that the date on it was, I think, 1885, I think was the date. Our main character is called Elsie. In the beginning of the novel, she was 11 years old whenever the workhouse that she lived in caught fire because she accidentally broke a spell, a little ward, which basically was like a fire repellent basically. And she accidentally broke that and a fire started out and she was like, oh shit, they're gonna find out that I'm a spellbreaker and they're gonna take me away. Oh shit, oh shit. And then she is swept away by Coles? I don't know how to say this word. I don't know how to say it. Maybe it's me being dyslexic. Maybe everyone has a trouble with that word. Hopefully it's not just me. But she is swept away by this underground kind of like rebel system who basically essentially use her to break spells, but she like takes it in her stride. She's like, I am wanted by these people, I am doing good work, I am helping the poor, I am stealing from the rich, I am basically Robin Hood, and that bangs. So very funky fresh. We also have another character called Bacchus, I think is his name. Bacchus? I don't know. What I really find interesting about him is he is from the Caribbean. His dad is English, but his mum is from the Caribbean. She's actually from Algarve in Portugal, but it says that he has quite a dark skin tone, and whenever he's in England, he always gets like weird looks because he like travels to and from the Caribbean and England to do important lord things. But yeah, I was really surprised to see that. We have a little bit of a diverse character in there. Now in the book, Elsie is 21 and she is still doing her thing, breaking spells, living her life, literally at every point and every turn saying, eat the rich, which we do stan. And I am quite liking it. I'm enjoying it. I think it is very fun, it is very interesting. I've not read a book like this before. Like literally, I've not read a book like this, so I'm really enjoying it and I'm finding it really interesting. I might give you more updates along the way, I don't know, but I'm planning to literally just sit in my room and continue reading this. It is very hot, I have my fan on, which you cannot hear right now because I turned it off to film this update because I said amazing booktubers sacrificing my self for the sake of an update on a vlog. Who even cares? Who even cares about my vlog updates? Probably no one. Anyways, I am going to go back to reading this and I'll update you if anything fun, funky or fresh happens. Y'all heard of the one bed trope, but have you heard of the one carriage trope? I love a good historical romance moment.
I just finished Spellbreaker. I need to read the second one. Fuck this video. I'm reading it.
Okay, this is the weirdest like setup that I have ever had to prop up my phone to do a check-in, and I would show you, but I don't want to mess with it right now. So here's my update. So I might have read the sequel. Oops. If you didn't gather from my 2 very short check-ins, I absolutely loved Spellbreaker. Like, I loved it so much. I ended up giving Spellbreaker 5 stars, which I am absolutely astounded at, but I don't regret it. I regret nothing. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was brilliant. It had all of my favourite tropes in it, and they were all justified to be in it, and it was all just so good. I love the characters, I love the pacing, I love the setting. Oh my god, I love the setting. I just loved it. I would go more in depth, but obviously I don't want to give out any spoilers, and I did end up reading the sequel immediately after, which was not part of this video, but I did it anyways. I mean, if you recall, whenever I actually did open up my Kindle to get like the first Kindle Unlimited recommendation, the first recommendation was actually for Spellmaker, which is the sequel. So technically, two birds, one stone. Two birds, one stone? Two birds, one stone. It's a duology, which means there's only 2 in the series, and I loved both of them. I found that the second book was a bit of a miss compared to the first one. However, I still give it 4 stars. I still loved it. I thought it was a lovely conclusion and a nice way to wrap everything up. And I loved how not everything was kind of tied off into a neat bow by the end of it. There were still questions, there were still things left for the characters that you could just kind of sit and imagine how their lives would go from there on, and I'm really trying to be very vague because I don't want to spoil it, because I think if you are a fan of fantasy, if you're a fan of like historical settings especially, you should read this. You should read Spellbreaker. I just thought it was so fun, so funky fresh. You can get it for free on Kindle Unlimited, and it actually gives you the audiobook as well, which I didn't realise. But then again, I read the whole thing in one sitting, so I didn't really have a need for the audiobook. Woohoo! But yes, I am so pleasantly surprised. Thus far this video has been going so well. Last time I did a reading challenge, it was when I was doing my Chandler Ainsley video, and a lot of the books were kind of like semi-misses for me, whereas this one has just been a bang 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 bang, so good every time. I've been loving it. So I am going to open up my Kindle probably later on, do a check-in on what comes up, and we will see what we are going to read next. I'm kind of sad that we're on to the last book of this, because this has been really fun. I've been really enjoying this. In both occasions, I actually just sat and read both these books in one sitting. Like, with ease. Maybe Kindle does know what I like to read. Maybe Kindle understands me in a way nobody else can. Love that. Who knows? We will discuss that more at the end. But yes, that is all. I loved Spellbreaker, loved Spellmaker. Both of them were very fun, very funky fresh. I might actually look a bit more into the author's books. I can't say her name. Her name is Charlie, and she has a last name that I do not remember right now, but I might look into reading more of her books because she has a fun and funky fresh writing style, which is really easy to read, and her characters give me a giggle. So, okay, until next time. I don't know why I'm trying to round this off. I don't know how to do this. How do people do check-ins? I still don't know. I've been doing booktube for like a year now. I don't know how people do this shit. Yikes. Okay, hello. I just randomly opened up my Kindle not thinking anything would come up, and I actually got a new ad for Kindle Unlimited, but it's a different one than I got last time. And it says, if I can, hello? This is very difficult. I'm doing it one-handed. 1 second. Hello, you're once again in my brush pot, but I got it opened. You can't see. Oh, you can kind of see. Kind of. So whenever I clicked on the ad, it brought me onto the Kindle store, and it says 8 titles. Everyone is ... because it doesn't fit in. So there's that. The first thing that I see is called Her Last Breath by Hilary Davidson. So I guess that's the one we're gonna go for. Just because it's the first one there. I'm gonna tap on it. Oh, it's a thriller. Oh, it's a thriller. Oh, funky fresh. Okay, so we have Her Last Breath by Hilary Davidson, and this is going to be the last of my Kindle reads. Very exciting, very exciting. So I am going to download this now. It also comes with an automatic download of the audiobook. I'm really loving this. I didn't know that Kindle Unlimited books sometimes come with the free audiobook, but I am not mad at it. I am very much pleased about this. I don't know if I'll actually end up listening to the audiobook, but I will update you guys along the way. But yeah, it seems to be a thriller, and I know absolutely nothing else. Can you see it? Can you see it? No. No, you can't. Okay. Whatever. I'll update you later. I spoke too soon. This book is kind of shit. So it has been a couple days and I have thus far read about 20% of Her Last Breath, and it is kind of crap. In my humble opinion, obviously, remember, every time I make a comment like that, it is in my humble opinion. But yeah, it's kind of shitty. Let me tell you what it's about. So basically, this girl called Deirdre goes to her sister's funeral. That's it. That is the first thing that we have in this book. She is on her way to her sister Caro's funeral. Her name's Caroline, but she calls her Caro because they're so edgy and cool. And you may have wondered what I said there. Deirdre. Her name is Deirdre. That is a very, very Irish name. So whenever I started reading this and I saw her name is Deirdre, I was like, fuck yeah, my dude. We're gonna get a lovely little sexy Irish thriller. No, we're not. It's set in Manhattan, I think. Boston? A place in America. I don't know. One of those places that has rich people and really dirt cheap food. That's all I know. And basically, this, it's just not good. It's just not good. The pacing is so off. The pacing is like, oh my god. So in the very first chapter, we get Deirdre going to her sister's funeral, and she's not grieving. She's not really doing anything. She's just like, oh, my sister is dead. Rip the fuck. And then as she's at her sister's funeral, she gets an email, from this weird fucking company, which is like named after like an Egyptian god, which, you know, how fitting, because she's obsessed with Egyptian mythology and she has Egyptian mythology related tattoos. How fitting for her. Okay, I'm gonna try to rein in the sarcasm, I promise, but I'm just already melted. So we're at the funeral for like a grand total of like 2 minutes. She walks in, sees her sister's like fucking sister-in-law, hates her. She's called Juliet. She's like, she's like a bitch, and she's wearing a parsuit, you know, because she's a bitch. Okay. And then she sees her sister's now widowed husband, Theo, and is like, oh, he was a sexy, sexy man. And I liked him when I first met him, whenever I knew he was with my sister. Kind of weird, kind of dodgy. Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant? Oh, I know, because you're probably going to end up fucking shagging him. Because why can't people just be widows? No? No, okay. So she gets this email from her dead sister that basically says, do not believe anything they tell you, my husband has killed me. And she's like, the fuck? So she leaves the funeral, goes back to her apartment, gets herself a lychee drink for no reason, just says that she gets herself a lychee drink, goes to the house, fucking opens up this parcel of old photos her sister had gave her like 2 weeks before she died, looks at them, and then goes, oh, I should probably go to my sister's fucking gravesite because she's about to be buried. And I'm like, okay, rush hour traffic, does that not exist in this fucking writer's mind? No? Okay, whatever, that's fine, we'll put that aside. And all throughout this, they are talking about the pandemic, and I'm like, please stop. Like, they're making characters so over dramatic, like the introduction of them, someone's like, whoa, 2 feet away, and I'm like, calm the fuck down, my dude, calm the fuck down. I'm sorry, I'm just really salty about this. I just really don't like it. It's probably a perfectly fine book to literally anyone but me, but there is just something about the pacing of it which makes me want to throw myself out a window. Like, genuinely, it makes me feel violent. I guess I'll update you if I continue to feel violent about this fucking book. I'm only 20% into it, Jesus Christ. Also, like, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened? Nothing has happened. She's just got an email from her dead sister being like, my husband killed me. Oh, whoa. And then she was like, oh, she'll probably find out more about that. And it's all happening in the same day. Everything is taking place in the same day. It feels like I'm reading Pretty Little Liars, but quite possibly shittier. Because at least when it was Pretty Little Liars, I kind of liked the characters because they gave me a reason to like them. But with this, yeah, not vibing, not vibing. So I'm gonna sit down and maybe read some more of this. I should have never said this was going really well for a video because I just fucking jinxed myself. But alas. Would it be me if I didn't do that? Would it be me? No. Also, I'm standing for once. Do you see? Do you see? I hope you like my flat sound t-shirt. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna start reading and I'm gonna stop talking now. Okay. Hopefully it gets better because right now, well, I just hope it can't get worse. So, I finished Her Last Breath by Hilary Davidson. No, not a fan. Okay, so let's kind of talk about that. I went into this book way too optimistically. I had 2 major hits for this Kindle video, and then, yeah, no, it was a no-go for me. As I assumed at the beginning, it was a thriller, and I mean, I think it was meant to be a thriller. Maybe. Wasn't very thrilling. It was all just... I don't really know how to even state how I feel about it without getting into, like, spoilers, I guess. I gave it 2 stars because it's not like it was written terribly. The author's writing style is very simple, very easy to read. There were some nice moments of, like, repetition. There were some characters I liked. I liked Regan. She seemed to be the only one with more than 2 brain cells that weren't at odds with one another. And yeah, this is a very negative review to end on. It's not even a review, this is a very negative wrap up to end on. But basically, there was just a lot of stuff in it that was kind of half-baked, undercooked, and not as interesting as I hoped it would be. There was a lot of mentions of Egyptian mythology, and I was really hoping that that would kind of like lead up to something, kind of like Maltese Falcon style, but no. Nothing came of it. Also, I have to state this, I physically have to. Deirdre and Caro's parents were from Belfast. If you don't know, and if you can't tell, I am from Belfast. And it kind of really rubbed me the wrong way that the only depictions we really get of them were that they were awful, abusive people who don't talk about their feelings and would rather emotionally and physically abuse their children. Now, I'm not saying Northern Ireland's full of great people, but if I am going to read a book that really randomly mentions people from Northern Ireland, why the fuck do they all have to be awful people? Just wondering. Also, there were so many, like, racial caricatures in it. The character of Theo's stepmother was just a caricature of a drunk German woman who had family ties to the Stasi. Interesting. We had a very short and stout Filipino man who was a shark lawyer, paralegal kind of thing. You know what, I was gonna go on, but I'm just gonna stop there. I can't be bothered thinking about this book anymore. I really cannot be bothered. If this is a book you love, I am sorry for roasting it. I'm sure it has redeeming qualities and I was just butthurt. And yeah, let's move on. So let's wrap this all up. Except I'm not going to do that right now because I have to finish getting ready because I'm going to meet my friend Lou before she leaves and goes to Scotland. I'm sad. So I spent a week reading only Kindle ads. Let's talk about it. So to break this down, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and what surprised me. First of all, the good. I loved Spellbreaker. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and a 10 out of 10 is probably one of my new favourite reads. I didn't actually expect going into this video to end up reading a book that I would love quite as much, but I am utterly obsessed with it, and I'm so happy that I found it through doing this. Another positive was it actually made me realise how much variety there is on Kindle Unlimited. So as you guys know, I only actually got a subscription for Kindle Unlimited about 2 months ago, and I actually haven't really nosied through it all that much. But after doing this video, I think I'm actually gonna look into it a bit more and maybe just download some things on a whim. Because for the most part, you know, two out of three, it went pretty good. It went pretty good. So maybe I'm a Kindle Unlimited fan now. Maybe that's who I am now. Also, note the fact I'm standing for once. Love that for me. Another good thing that I found through doing this was I ended up reading books that I probably never would have picked up before. I definitely would not have picked up a book called A Deal with the Elf King in the Married to Magic series. God knows I wouldn't have picked that up. However, I liked it. I thought it was fun, I thought it was funky, and I would recommend it if you're looking for a kind of light-hearted, not so serious fantasy read with a little bit of romance. I say a little bit of romance, it's fantasy romance. That's the genre. It's fantasy romance. But yeah, so it really kind of opened me up to books that I never really would have considered reading, and I'm quite happy for it, and I think I trust Kindle Unlimited now. I'm a changed person. Let's talk about the bad. That last book, that was a major miss for me. Her Last Breath was just a big no for me. I really did not enjoy it. It made me roll my eyes on various occasions. And to be honest, out of everything I did for this video, that is like the only main bad I have. So I guess that's good. Let's talk about the surprising though. I am actually really surprised to have found that I didn't get any specific ads. That really confused me, because when I think about Kindle ads, I normally think about an ad of a specific book coming up when I open my Kindle. But maybe I'm just like, I don't know, clapped, and Kindle's like updated and doesn't do that anymore for some reason. But I was really surprised about that. Also, I was surprised about how many like various titles would be in the ads. Like, they would list me like 10 books and I would be very overwhelmed. I'm but a small human being. I need specifics. You want me to read something? Okay, tell me the name of it. Because I don't know. I can't pick variety. That's not for me. But when it comes to your breakdown, I honestly think that's it. This is a very, like, wrapped up sudden ending for me. Maybe I'm a new person now. Maybe I do things like... Never mind, I completely forgot how words work. I was gonna say, maybe I do things in like a precise and condensed way, but like God knows I don't. This video is probably near an hour long, so I hope you had fun watching me respond to the various strange books that I read. And if you like this video, please drop it a like. I very much appreciate that. It gives me serotonin. And drop me a comment. Tell me, what do you think about these books I read? Have you read any of them? Have you not read any of them? Will any be on your TBR? Spellbreaker? Spellbreaker. Or maybe that's just a niche that I fit in. Maybe no one will like it as much as I did. I don't know. Let's move on. But yes, that is everything from me. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to do maybe something a bit like it again. I have a couple of ideas for reading things recommended by specific things. Trust me, it makes sense in my head, you'll see. But that is everything from me. I hope you have a lovely day, and until the next video, bye!